I think art is really important for young people on so many levels, just in terms of their own identity and the way in which they can use art's creativity to articulate who they are and find that identity. But also I think art makes us feel better, doesn't it?
Exactly, and also I want to say here that you don't have to always go into the creative industry.
No.
Because I've worked in some young people's project where they don't really have an interest in arts. But I remember one particular boy when I worked in a school over in Bermondsey, and I got an email from the teacher after we did this project, and he was one of the people in the class, young in the class, who didn't put his hand up. He was always quite introverted. But she wrote to me and said after the project, his hand was always up first, and he gained a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and that sense of self-esteem.
Yeah, it does more than just want to be a creative person.
But also, if you look across the economy, so I mean, the creative industry is our fastest growing sector, industry, but actually every other industry needs creative people.
Yeah.
It needs people with the sorts of skills that actually you get through the arts. So it's absolutely really
I think
important.
that's a very good point, because it's like, is it STEM or is it STEAM?
Well, it's got to be STEAM.
It's got to be STEAM, you know, because art and technology is, I was reading an article the other day, things people like technology to be beautiful. People who make technology don't make beautiful things, but then the artists do. So I think that is a really interesting and valid.
But also you've got art and business. I remember there was a couple of years ago, there was an MA running, I think it was the university in Norfolk, and it was part of the MA, because I looked at it, and part of it was they would have artists working in Barclays Bank. I don't know how successful the course was, because I didn't do the course, but just to show you that art even has interest into business and how to think creatively in business.
But I think also we put too many boundaries, and imagine young people have to choose too quickly between whether they're going into the sciences or into the arts. And actually most people, if you think of us, if you're a rounded person, you've got interest in all sorts of areas. I was at a really interesting event a couple of weeks ago where we were launching at the Arts Council something we call the Cultural Education Challenge. And I did a workshop in the afternoon where the chair of the partnership in that area was the chancellor of the local university and a scientist. And what he said is, if you're a scientist, you have to be creative. Science is artistic, he was saying. And I found that really quite a powerful concept. And so those boundaries are boundaries that we put around subject matter.
Yeah, it's
in
true,
order
it's
that
true.
we can make sense of it and talk about
because I had the same conversation with, I did a workshop this weekend at the National Portrait Gallery, and I was talking to a doctor, and he said, I'm not a creative person. But I said, you think about it as a doctor, when you're doing an operation and the way you think and problem solving. And he was like, yeah, of course. And he understood. So it's going to have to be a creative person, working creative, but thinking creatively.
Yeah, important.
Yeah.